All right, we are live. Hello. Good
Hello.
morning. Welcome to our podcast. This is Productivity and Procrastination. I'm Joe. And
I'm
he's James.
James.
There we go. Cool. And we're just a couple of procrastinators looking to get productive. Oh my gosh. You're just
Sorry,
sitting
I'm,
there
I'm like
staring.
thinking about like the fact that you said productivity and not productivity. And then
Productivity.
I was listening and I thought I heard productivity later. I'm like, wow, does he switch up the way he says
They're
that?
interchangeable. We are currently working on
Wow.
Project Pancake, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is episode 27.
Wow, he got it right. Right
I got it
on.
right.
Look at that. It's like
Only because I
we're
was surprised you got it right last week with the 26. So
there's
that's the
this.
only reason I
See,
remember.
there's an increase in standards that we have now, gentlemen and ladies.
We just, hope. Just hope that one of us will remember which number it is, and then confidently say it.
Well, that's great. So, how have you been this week?
Why do you say that so weirdly?
Because I'm a weird guy, Joe.
All right. This week was a little rough on me. I so while I was at work the week before, like I had like probably 7 to 9 minutes in between calls that I could actually get stuff done. This week, I'm lucky if I had 10 seconds
Oh,
all week.
fun.
Yeah, it was not the greatest feeling in the world.
Exciting.
And then during the evenings, I didn't take the time to really like push on any of my work. I did get a lot done, but not as much as I could have if I really would have dedicated myself to it. Which tells me I need to stop relying on my time at work to be able to get things done, and I need to go back to doing things more on the weekends and stuff. I was really enjoying getting work done while I was at work, but it doesn't seem as though that's going to be an option. So I have to reevaluate and recommit myself to basically spending, instead of spending my free time or saying no to things in order to make sure I get my work done.
You
Just
know,
things that are
as
important
you
to me.
said that sentence, the word recommit popped in, and I looked at your mustache, and I was thinking to myself, is he recommitting to that?
No.
Which was, then you said mistake, and I said yes. Mistake is definitely.
Look, all right, I just haven't
Just
shaved.
saying.
It's gonna go away. It's gonna go away. It's gonna
All
go
right,
away.
good. All
I
right.
like clean shaven Joe the best. It's the most accurate.
Well, I don't mind the downward double. That kind of helps hide your face.
And that has been productivity and procrastination.
But the
We're just done.
mustache thing, no.
We're just
no.
done.
Sorry, you were saying stuff about your life. Sorry.
No, James. No, James. So I did draw most days. I think I missed Sunday because I'm a goob. But every other day I ended up drawing. And then I got some good progress. Me and James did look over my I do want to discuss that too. So James and I looked over the painting, the progress of my painting. And that was during like just after last week's episode. And a kind of click happened, or something that I noticed changed, where typically whenever I show, so I had talked before about having an issue where I show something to someone, I get feedback on it, and then I don't feel like it's mine anymore. It feels like I'm making it for someone else. And I think a lot of that had to do with like I didn't trust my own judgment on stuff. And that made it so that when I was creating pieces of when I was creating pieces, for you guys who are listening, James is making weird fish faces. Uh, he's had too much coffee this morning, and so basically, like I had an issue where I would show people stuff, they would suggest these changes, and even if I didn't agree with them, I would trust their judgment over mine, which would turn it into this thing where it's not really my piece anymore. And so when James showed or like told me these things that he wanted to change, I instead of, just like being like, oh hey, like I agree with everything, I stood up for the things that I thought were important. And because I did that, I felt like it was still my piece and I was just getting feedback on it. And it does sound so subtle, but it definitely changed my mindset. Instead of being like feeling this sense of dread when I'm creating this piece, I feel this like sense of excitement that it's making it a better piece because I looked for that external feedback. And it's such a shift in just like how I view it that I definitely wanted to talk about it here. And I think it boils down to essentially, even if you know you're going to be wrong or if you think you're going to be wrong, it's better, at least for your mental health, to trust your own instinct on your piece and make it like you can absolutely seek feedback, but do make sure that you're judging the feedback based on what you think and not what other people think. Because there's a lot of opinions, but it's your piece. And that's not just for painting, but also for like writing and everything.
Yeah, and then just to put some more detail in that, or at least explain, he didn't just say no to every single thing I said.
No.
He considered the multiple things I said, and he stood up for what he thought should stay, and he took the advice I had on some other points, and he agreed. So he's not saying, take feedback, but then put the kibosh on it, because you're in charge. No, he
No.
actually did consider what I said, took a few pieces of it,
Oh
and
yeah.
said,
I think there
yes,
was
I'm going
only
to change
like
that,
one
and then
thing.
otherwise.
There was like one thing where I was like, oh hey, I don't, I'm gonna keep it, or whatever. So it was like only one change that he suggested that I make that I was like, no, I'm gonna do this instead. And that was enough for me to feel like I retained control over the piece. And I think it was just a shift in mentality more than it was like an actual change. Like I view it differently now.
Yeah, and maybe in the future, even let's say I have been shown another piece and it's like I have two small things I say and you actually agree with both of them. It's not like you have to come up with a negative, but now that you've
No,
maybe
no.
gone through this breakthrough, you're like,
Right.
dude, I don't see the actual things people, say as such like this negativity that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
That is a
It's
breakthrough.
Yeah, it is a huge breakthrough for me. I think that has a lot to do with the self-confidence, and I think being okay with possibly being wrong, or I mean, and then with creativity, there's no like wrong essentially, but there's definitely more pragmatic choices than others, and just being okay with doing something that you think is right, even though other people don't, for your art piece. Because in the end, it is yours. And I think, I don't know, it was a big deal for me, and I was really excited about it.
Yeah, because in the end, I mean, nobody's going to really know who, you know, says some stuff in between that made you tweak your photo or your art or whatnot, or even your writing, because they're just gonna know that the end was done by this person, yada yada. So take any feedback. Don't worry about it stealing your, the pride you have in actually accomplishing it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a lot to do with like seeking, and it helped because I changed my stance on. I think it helps that it changed my stance on seeking feedback, where I don't seek feedback until something's done. But I don't think that's the right step either. That was my original plan. Was I was going to only receive feedback once I had finished the project. However, now I want to seek feedback during the sketch phase or somewhere along there, so that way I'm building something that I like. I want to be happy with it, like the sketch, show it to someone whose eye I trust, and have them take a look and see what they think. Specifically, not like, oh, is this a good piece or not? That's reductive. I want to hear like things they like, things they don't like, because I think that's more constructive.
Yeah, I would imagine this, obviously when you could ask people when the timing is right might not be perfect all the time, but I would imagine for drawing that it would be after you've placed all the pieces in the scene, you got your sketchy, maybe you're working on some lighting, things like that.
Yeah,
Perfectly the position basically you're in. Anytime in there would be good. And as for writing, for me, when I make my first draft, basically after I think it's decent, like let's say a chapter or something works, at that point I would think it would be okay to read to someone that I trusted for an opinion. And we've done that in the past.
Yeah.
And I've liked how that worked out.
Yeah, I think we had some interesting dialogue about some of the stuff you've wrote me, or read to me. And at different,
because he's a word and a linguist,
a linguist.
Obviously.
Yeah, very articulate. No, we had talked about you'd read something to me, and I had different thoughts than a lot of people that you've read it to.
Yeah, you did. You had thoughts that I really appreciated, because you pinpointed things that seemed to point more towards each individual character behaving in ways that seem to mesh well with what I have portrayed for each character. I really appreciated that, because pretty much everything you said in my mind, I had kind of like subconsciously known, and they were bugging me, but I didn't know if it was enough to bug someone else even, and so I didn't even worry about it. When you said it, was like, oh yes, that is right on. And so yeah, I really liked that, and that would have been after a first draft kind of phase. So yeah,
I think it's good
feedback.
Feedback is good, and I think it's good to get it, but do keep in mind that you have to stay strong about your own piece. And I think that some people with lower self-esteem on their creations need to keep that in mind, that it's still yours. And if you don't agree with the feedback, there's nothing saying you have to implement it.
Right. I won't even joke about it.
That's such a big deal. That's such a big deal for me. Like, I don't know. It's mind-boggling that I was ever on the other side of the fence, but I was. Like, that's how it felt for the first piece that I created, the first page. Like, I felt like I took everybody else's advice. Granted, we still made a very awesome piece, But at the end, it didn't feel like my piece anymore. It felt like
That must have
everyone
sapped a
else's.
little bit of the
Yeah,
ending joy out
there
of it.
was oh yeah, there was no ending joy for the completion. Like I still look at it and I still like, oh, that's really pretty, but I don't get this like sense of accomplishment. So
Feels more like an
it's
assignment than a
exactly.
something else. Okay, cool.
But yeah, so
You know
seek
those
feedback
little
from people that you trust, or seek feedback from a bunch of people and just pick out the things you do like.
cherry pick.
Yeah, that's what I recommend.
Why do they need cherry? I had 4 cherry trees in my yard growing up. You know, we had a lot of cherries.
Cherries are good.
Cherry picking, like in that sense, doesn't really make sense to me because we had so many dang cherries everywhere. Like bowls and bowls of cherries everywhere. It was like, just pick one up and eat it, and maybe there'd be like a scar on one, and then the very rare occasions maybe you might actually find like a little worm or something. But that was like a once in a blue moon kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I wonder if it maybe has something
so
to do with the tree more than
I don't know. I mean,
like the
there's a
bowls of
lot of
fruit.
good cherries. It's not like I had to. It's not like making sure the good one was something cherry. Like, I just don't understand it.
I
Anyway,
don't
if
either.
somebody could maybe clarify that in the
Yeah, clarify it
comments,
for me. We don't
help
want to
me to
Google.
understand.
Don't make us
Oh, I don't
Google
know
it.
that I want to Google that. I'll chat
It's so.
GPT it, see what the
Oh my
AI
gosh.
has to say.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we could get into that as well because I have feelings on AI.
Yeah,
Anyways,
nah, let's just move on.
okay.
If somebody wants to talk about it,
Yeah, if you
we
want to
could
talk,
talk
you want
about
us
it.
to talk about AI, give us a comment saying, "Hey, I want to hear you guys' very articulate thoughts on AI," and we'll let you know
Well,
what those
while we
are.
all still have jobs and aspirations in our creative life possible, let's talk about them. I was curious on if there was any. How would you grade yourself in the week? How
Uh,
like that kind of thing.
if I had to grade myself, I would give myself a D, barely passing, like a D plus maybe.
Mm.
Like I felt like I just did bare minimum, and I could have done more. I think I think Baldur's Gate 3 has been a big proponent of that too. It's like that game is just so much fun. And then not even that, but I'm also playing Pathfinder Kingmaker with you, and that game is so
Mm.
much fun. We just
Oh yeah,
we're honored.
we just
Yeah,
began.
we just began. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I didn't buy Baldur's Gate 3
this is
or get it for a
probably
present.
the smartest choice you've ever made.
So, well, any other things you want to inform us of your week or any magical
So,
insights that you
no,
discovered about yourself?
I think I'm just going to have to focus more on making time for the things that are important to me and keep focusing on that, which means dropping some free time and spending that free time instead of gaming or whatever, actually doing the work that I actually care about.
Mm. Well, then.
Let's hear about your week.
All right. All right.
Did you see
So,
the? For those who didn't see it, there was the smile of shame.
you saw it creep in. Okay. Well, there was no despair or emptiness this week.
That's
That's
good.
a positive. Um, and I asked myself the actual hard questions. This hard question was, how many days did you work as a writer? Like in my mind, like, oh, I this is a good day if I was a writer.
Oh
Zero.
God. Yeah,
Zero.
it's because
Okay,
you're holding
so
yourself to these crazy
hey, shut up.
expectations.
Now, I have how many days did I write in stories? That I had 2. All
Okay.
right. So I did write. My word count was only, it was like 618 one day, 246 another. So it wasn't, spectacular, but I did write.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Oh, yeah.
What were those numbers
So
again?
618, 246.
On that 618 day, how did you feel after putting that number down? Like, how did it feel to write that much in the day? Like, that's definitely more than you've written in any other day, right?
No.
No?
Maybe.
Well, since we've started this, right?
Yeah, it's quite possible. Well, it was after the fact. Like basically at the end of the week, I just go, oh, what did I write here? What did I write there? And I just kind of highlight and find out. But maybe that would actually, that's a change I'm going to implement, Joe. I'm going to write
Doing
it
it
down.
afterwards?
Yeah, like in a daily kind of update thing.
Yeah.
Maybe the next morning, and the next time. I don't know. Anyway, I'll write down as I finish.
Yeah, after you're done, just write down how many words you got.
Maybe that's something that could help inspire. I worked on my own business with my wife a lot this week. We did a lot there, and I made the mistake of gaming while I worked on that stuff. And so she'd be doing stuff, setting stuff up, and then once she got, a shot, I would look at it and go, okay, this needs to change. This looks like needs to move here. And so I'd have more in between time. And so I gamed. And then by the end of the week, I was like, I should write while I'm doing this instead of gaming.
Yeah.
And so it was harder. But that was the 246 time.
Yeah.
And but I did get words down. And after a while, she wanted music on. So, and I don't like to write when I hear people screaming and in my face. I'm more of a like, okay, if I'm going to write, it's going to be like symphony, something where people aren't speaking words, because I don't want their crappy words to be put down on my masterpiece. So, I don't know. It probably wouldn't even happen, but
system,
it's just
that's fine.
Just a thing I don't allow myself to do.
I noticed that the more I read a book, the more my mental dialogue is in the same prose as
exactly. And that's kind of the same theory. Which is also why I don't read a book and then write shortly after. I allow some time to go by. So, which is also why I don't read, apparently. So anyway, so there was that nuance. And since I'm going to be working a lot more on the business with her, I'm going to basically have my writing up and see what I can do over the course of time with that. And if she wants music on or something, maybe I'll have to have my headphones on while I'm doing this. And there's something, I'm going to figure out a process regardless that'll work for me. Because I don't want her life to be miserable. She likes people, she listens to that screamy stuff.
Screamy stuff. Screamy stuff is great.
I know, it is in certain Not when you're writing.
No,
It
I would
doesn't
not.
feel
I wouldn't want to
right.
listen to it when I was writing.
Yeah.
Like when I'm
So
writing, my brain, it's got to be like almost completely silent.
yeah. So there's that. I have to go through. Um,
I need to write more.
and let's see. So I ate a lot last week, but this week I
Slept
did the
less?
exact opposite and basically didn't like eat for 3 days.
Oh.
So, so that actually helped me a lot to just kind of observe what was going on and make changes. I had a nice meal last night, though.
Nice.
The fast is over. um, but I did notice a lot of things, and that helped me come up with different ways of working on it. I'm very optimistic for next week. I did listen to our last week's podcast, and I do have a note here written down.
Oh.
And it says, your divination wizard is lame, so get a two-hander like a real man. There you go.
Okay, first of all, my divination wizard is awesome. They now have the ability to re-get those dice, the portent dice, the ones that I can swap in and out for other dice, when I do a random action. So like it'll say deal blunt damage and I'll get another dice, or deal fire damage and I'll get another dice that I can use to swap in and out. So I have now like little mini quests.
Let's say you have those two that you normally start off with, and
Three
then
now.
during 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shut up. You're overpowered. It's just cheating. It's just
Also,
cheating, Joe.
Fireball.
Well, who doesn't like Fireball?
Yeah. People argue that Thunderbolt is just as good, but in a video game sense, it's harder to use Thunderbolt because it's a straight line from my character, and half the time there's corridors and stuff with the rest of my party in the way. Where with Fireball, I can definitely angle it wherever I want.
Nobody with half a brain would choose to not use Fireball over that other spell.
I think there's places for both, but I think Fireball is definitely...
Oh, no. In general, I mean. Like, if you're going to take one spell and just... That's the one.
Fireball.
It can be Fireball.
Yeah.
You can't choose the other one. Yeah. Can't justify if your life depends on it.
Also, I'm learning the Break TTRPG that I kickstarted at some point. I didn't kickstart it. Someone else kickstarted it. I just, spent money on it. But it's another TTRPG set in like a really pretty... I bought it because of the art. And the TTRPG kind of seems good too. But mostly because of the art. I'm learning it.
All right. So then, just more things.
Fireball.
More things to be using. Fireball.
Fireball. So, did you ever finish that video I sent you?
That video you sent me. You're having me recall information again, Joe? What?
Yeah, the I don't want to mention it without...
I don't know.
Okay, so it's the video where you're like...
Must have been so impactful in my life.
You said you agreed with the first statement that the person used. It was, are you pacifying yourself with dreams of with self-soothing through so basically you're not setting up your life in a way that you can actually get to your goals. You don't remember the video I sent you?
Well, I mean, I remember saying that I agreed with the first point in some way, but now that you're saying it, your translation of it, no.
Okay, we have to rewatch the video. You probably
Great,
didn't watch...
we'll rewatch that video, I guess.
and we'll discuss it
But
next week.
if that's what you're saying, try to give me a reason why you're saying it right now, like, and throw in, and then we can actually discuss the point that you have.
Okay. So in that video, and we'll probably discuss it more next week. If we don't, then sorry. But anyways,
And it wasn't worth it.
wasn't worth it. In that video, it discusses setting up your life in a way that you focus on what's important to you. And sometimes we can be like, oh, hey, I know life is bad right now, but I'm working towards this and that. And it's a way of self-soothing the life we might be in when we're not actually taking the steps necessary to get the stuff done to actually change our life.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have to evaluate it with my life. I have expectations for the, crazy expectations, so that it always pushes me. And I'm trying not to allow myself to be soothed in any real way. By I give myself a lot of passes because I know how pathetic I really am. But since I have a high standard on what I would like my future to be, relative to my craft, I don't think I self-soothe in such a way where my end goal won't be achieved in some fashion. See, even if I don't get to be the perfect, wizard in the tower, Leonardo da Vinci kind of style, like, dude, I just work, Even if I obtain anything in that spectrum on the higher scale of productivity, I'm gonna produce. And that's really the end goal. It's how do I produce? How do I get from this to that? And so self-soothing, I mean, I think, are you evaluating yourself honestly?
I think
Or
that's a
are
big part of it.
you not?
Yeah, and I think that's a lot about what the video goes over, and like some signs that you can look at your own life and see if maybe some of these things match up, and they go into like why. It's interesting. I like the video. It's actually the main reason why I stopped going to that data analysis class, and why I decided to tell those people that I'm not going to be doing D&D with them, and why I did one more thing. Oh yeah, I stopped doing the graphic artist, volunteering my time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Well,
it talks a lot about. It's not you look at these lives of this thing and you see this magical life with no problems, right? But it's not that way. It's gonna have problems. It's just you're choosing what problems you actually want, and so you're sacrificing this for that. And it's about making sure that you're actually pushing yourself in that direction and actually sitting down thinking about what it's actually going to take to put yourself in that position, which means sacrificing free time to make sure that I get my art done, or sacrificing, the data analysis class and all that other stuff to make sure I have time to get my stuff done so I don't feel overwhelmed. It's that type of stuff.
Well, I think when you use the word sacrifice, I think of you just being honest with the evaluation of your time and being I mean, it's not like a small portion of yourself didn't want to do some of those things,
Mm-hmm.
but you just had a estimation of your situation that was inaccurate. And when you actually lived through it, you're like, oh, hold on. If I'm being honest with myself here and my time, I'm not going to have enough time to do everything I want.
Right.
And now all those other things that I really would like to do more are realistically compromised. I'm not going to have enough time to relax. I'm not going to have time to game. I'm not going to have time to do the painting or whatnot. I can't do everything. I'm spread too thin. Okay, now honestly, what is the least important to me now? And those are the things you're going to cut out. But it's not like you totally, everybody has all sorts of stuff, I'm sure, that they've committed themselves to. We're not saying, cut out, you got to make, you know, I think to some degree, you're right. But, it, I think, honestly, it is a real self-evaluation of what you really want in your life, and you have to realize you only have so much dang time in the world, and you got to make decisions, and some things have got to go. I
Yep.
think everybody has to make those hard decisions.
Yeah.
I got a game
Uh,
less.
Same. I'll make sure to link the video in the doobly doo for both
Oh
Spotify
yeah, that'd be
and
great, and
YouTube.
I'll watch it.
We had talked about it enough, and it wasn't just concepts. We talked about pretty much a good chunk of the video, so I didn't want to not include the creator of the video.
Yeah, and if there's a certain video or whatnot that you want us to watch and discuss, we can. It's not like, I mean, I don't consider myself a productivity expert, but I do consider myself the other side, a procrastination expert. So it's kind of like when I watch some of these videos, I think to myself, I have to look at it from how much of this is just sounds good BS that really isn't
Right.
practical in a real way, dealing with a real human being with real life situations. It's pretty easy for the millionaire sitting at home who's built his business to go, oh, well, all you need to do is schedule your time in 15-minute increments and
Yeah.
wake up, drink your glass of water.
Run for 6 hours, then come home, go on the computer for 15 minutes.
And then I'm meditating while I'm doing yoga. All these, whatever, dude.
Yeah. Okay. Did you write down your goals this week?
I just rewrite my same page, same
Well,
stuff.
let's add something new this week. Let's add something different. I'm gonna write practice. Yeah, practice.
He didn't see that face I gave him, though.
Yeah, I saw the face. I'm just
Oh, he did.
choosing to ignore it. Practice arms and
Let's just
hands.
randomly add something.
Well, I want
Let's
to do
not
something
worry about
new. I want to
content.
add. I want to add something new and different. I don't want it to
Ask
just be
Gabe.
the same thing. I like the idea of adding.
Great. If you say something is meaningful, I'll add it. If you're just gonna add something, then no.
Well,
It's gotta be helpful in some pattern.
write a short story.
Piss off.
Or not. Okay.
Write a short story.
Yeah, you have 1 week to write a short story.
You have 1 week to. Did you finish page 2? That was your
Oh,
goal
that's
for
great.
last week. Did you do it?
No.
why don't you just make a page that's a masterpiece, Joe? Why don't you just make a masterpiece? Whatever, dude. No, I wrote 800 and something words. I'm not writing a short story, 10,000 words by
Why you
next
just write
week.
1,000 words short story?
Piss off. I am going to get better. That's my goal.
Okay.
And, as for just arbitrarily adding something for the fun of it,
Well, I want to add something.
I mean, why didn't you add something to yours? Why are you adding something to mine? Because
I did add something to mine.
I feel like I've moved forward this last week. That's the most I can give myself.
Did you?
Did you move forward? Did I? Oh, okay. All right. So Joe has evaluated my situation as not moving forward. So let's hear about that. This has become interesting. So he has evaluated me, giving me the no.
Wrote on 2 days, correct?
That's right.
3 is your what we're trying to grow from, though.
Yeah. Okay. That's oh, he's using my number system as a way of evaluating me. Let me give you a reason why I feel like I moved forward.
Okay.
All right. Because first of all, for me, it's not just about word counts, and it's not just about how many days I write. In fact, those are the weakest of metrics for me.
Okay.
The most important metric is how many times did I work as a writer? None.
Did you say 0? Okay. I was like...
But in my mind, I evaluate how much closer am I today of accomplishing that this next week.
Mm-hmm.
And when I evaluate my week on that regard, and that's kind of a hidden metric, it's like how much have I
those trap metrics.
one of those metrics that I can add. I can add this metric, Joe.
Even if it's 0.
When I look at how much closer I am to getting some kind of writerly process going on, it's more. Because one, I have gone from gaming while I work with my wife to writing
that is
while
a big
I work
win.
with my wife. That is going to not just carry over one day, because that was yesterday. Okay. So now that I'm going to be working a lot, that's multiple a lots that I'm going to be writing, because, and maybe I'll sneak in a day where I just don't feel like you're writing or something. I can't say I'm going to be some perfect system. Obviously, you've listened to this for a while, but I am in a better position. I'm not also. I've got my food scenario under control, and I'm not gonna sleep and eat and only push off my responsibilities as a writer. So if I evaluate myself on all those hidden metrics, what do I put in the place of movement? What do I substitute for my craft when I have that extra time? Those things are less and less powerful right now than they were last week. And so that's why I give myself an okay this week, because I think I'm going to be in a very much better place next week. And so, because ultimately my goal is perfection, and I know that's probably not obtainable, Um, I still know that it's pushing me towards better and better and better and better to the point at which I'm going to have results.
I hope so. Um, I am excited to see how you grow next week. So if you had to give yourself a grade this week, what would you give yourself?
D.
A C?
D.
D, like a D? Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably give myself an F, but I want to be positive.
On the last weeks, which weeks would you give yourself above a D?
Think back, Joe. I maybe one day I did okay. One week I did pretty good. Um, I it's all about today because a lasting change is one that you carry with you. Okay, the you're only as good as you are today, really. I mean, how I can't rest on any laurels. For one, I don't have any laurels, but if you could say some of those past weeks are the laurels that I have, um, how much does it matter this week?
I'm just trying to maybe point
And
out that your self-evaluation may be poisoning your attempts at writing.
while I think about that pathetic comment, I will get my cat.
It's got that cat. I don't know. So, we can talk about BG3. I'm playing a wizard. It is a tiefling, and I have Shadowheart, Karlak, and Lathel in my team. And any more spoilers, you want to stop listening now? Well, until I say stop listening for like 10 seconds. I killed all the goblins. I am going to go through the mountain pass. I did through the mountain pass. I killed all the Lazel looking motherfuckers, Githyanki. And now I'm in the Underdark.
Well, I would venture to say that the way I do things is not far from the way you do things. You have taken a look at your week. You have decided that you
Yeah,
have made some poor decisions when it comes to how much work you've done, when you've chose to do it or not, and you have to make some changes to find success
only reason
the next week. What's the difference between that and me?
the harshness at which you judge yourself. I would say there's been weeks where I've given myself an A.
Because your standards are so much lower than mine, Joe.
I'm just saying that I think negative emotion will cause your brain to throw away things more than positive emotion does. And I think feeling good about your accomplishments and being okay that and shirking off the negative sides more will lead to a more positive growth over time. And I feel like with your strict standards, you're poisoning your chances by making it more and more unfun to complete things or to do things. I mean, we've had this discussion like 1,000 times, and I'm still going to keep making it.
Okay. I mean, give me the evidence
So
that is the case.
I asked you a question, and I asked you has there been any week that you would give yourself above a D? And you said, there was maybe one day that I did.
Right.
That sounds like you're grading yourself as overall almost failing, if not failing. And
Okay.
that's not a positive emotion. That is very negative.
Well, I'm a very pessimistic human being. I don't allow myself the luxury of smothering myself with all this praise.
It's not about smothering
It
yourself with
sounds
praise.
real negative, but I'm not really negative.
It's negative.
Like in my heart, it's a very positive situation. It just comes out very negatively. I
So
don't know.
maybe try rewording it so it doesn't sound negative. Because to me, it sounds like
Oh, okay.
you have these unrealistic expectations that you don't meet, and then you're, striving for them every single week, and you're never going to meet them because they're unrealistic. And eventually, your brain's just be like, you know what, fuck it, I quit.
Well,
I just used our first curse word, I think, this episode.
yeah, I'm like, what was the purpose of that? Do we
I don't know.
really need to throw that in there?
We might have.
Unlike you and your need and fascination with what happened there? Oh, my red portal closed, and that's what happened. Um,
Some of your demons somewhere else.
I I have a positive outlook on my expectations later on. Okay,
Later on. What do you mean by that?
like, I believe in myself that eventually I will produce in a manner that I feel is conductive of getting real work done, real writing done in a quantity that would, dare I say, be a professional level. So to get to that point,
If you guys
I
can't
have
see
to
it,
push myself hard.
I'm rolling my eyes.
And I know that the process to do that, the barriers in the way are my life, my situation, my feelings, my habits, and all of them eat away at my time and my time. And time is really the big factor. It's how much time am I able or that I choose to use in my craft. So I am trying to solve all those things about my life that are going to make it so that when I wake up, I have nothing stopping me, and I'm writing, and I'm choosing to use the I've got nothing stopping me time to, instead of always choosing something fun or whatever, to production, and enjoy it. I am getting closer to that. When I wrote this last week, I did enjoy it, and I thought I got some good words down. I like what I'm doing there, and so even though I gave myself a D, the reason I gave myself a D was because I didn't have any real days where I really felt like I really, really worked as a writer. I just did the bare minimum in my mind. That's what I think is going to change eventually. Is that the moments that I get that are more like I do this for a living. This is how I make my living. I've got to get up and I've got to do it. And are more plentiful, and then I can actually achieve them. And I'm lying to myself, and I'm like, oh yeah, well I worked hard, but if I really had my choice, I'd be gaming or I'd be doing something else. No, I want to change who I am, and it's a process. I don't know. So this is kind of my answer to some of that.
Hmm. So, I look forward to seeing your progress. I am still concerned that it's my understanding as of right now that the brain tries to go towards things that make us feel good and stay away from things that make us feel bad. And so for me, making it so that when I draw or when I do something creative or something that I want to do more of, I try to make it as fun as possible. So that way my brain enjoys that time. And that includes being more positive and less critical during that. And so I worry that you may be bashing your head against a brick wall trying to change your life with all this negative emotion. Your face is going blurry. With all this negative emotion tied to your writing and your lack thereof being a professional.
Well, I don't. I I know my heart is desperately wicked above all things, and I know that I'm going to not have always the most pleasant, fun feelings about everything I do. My mind has to be beyond that. I have to be able to um, do things because I must, do things because I have chosen to, and my wisdom um, can help me get past just the basic feelings of these things, and get through the hard stuff. And so I'm not as concerned with yeah, there's some fun to it here and there, but I need to be able to get up and, regardless of the fun, get some stuff done and make the fun out of it. I need to choose to work, even when it's not fun sometimes. And so I need more control and less feeling. Not to say that it's 100% doesn't need to be there. And at the same time, I would have to say that maybe you need to look at less of the fun and more of the production, and find the fun in the choice of doing the thing that may be hard or difficult to do at that moment. Not to give yourself such a pass on the emotion side of it, but to look more at the intellectual side and go, okay, well, I'm just going to get it done. I don't know. So maybe there's a balance in there that you might want to look at, and it's not just like one is the only way. But I think the end result is each of us has a unique situation and a unique psychology to them, and they need to figure out what's going to work for them. And for me, the way my mind works, I need to get to production faster, to a point where when I get there, I maintain those RPMs. and maybe because I feel like I have less time. I am older, and feel like I I need to jumpstart um, that in a manner that might not be as necessary for somebody else who may be, in their 20s or 30s. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. We'll have to keep track and try to probably revisit this because, we're both, it's something that we both don't like see eye to eye on. So I think it's a good talking point in the future to see like measurable progress and stuff like that, and do like more of a long term analysis of it.
Yeah, I think the results too are gonna, show over
Yeah.
time.
Yep, I agree. I think it's going to be important for like just seeing like, and not necessarily saying that like, one step works for everybody, like you said, but we are a small sample size for each of these conflicting. I don't know if they're conflicting more than just. Well, I guess they are kind of conflicting.
Well, they're a little opposing.
Yeah.
One would say the other is almost unnecessary or a roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, I think the results will help.
Yep, I agree. All right. Is there anything else you want to discuss before we call it here?
Well, how about we make some predictions on each of our scenarios?
What do you mean?
Give me an evaluation of what you expect your week to be like, how you would like your ideal week to go, and I'll do the same on mine.
Oh, I like that. I think it's going to add a little bit more, what's the word? Accountability.
Maybe.
So I plan on drawing every single day, whether that be for the project or on my own thing. And then I want to have practiced drawing some arms and hands. And then I also want to have some really good progress on page 2. I got a few things crossed off that list that I made with your suggestions. Like I got the image stretched out. I added the Pocky box. And they're called dried juice sticks. Because that just makes me happy. And then I was about to get the banana peel going.
I would suggest changing dried juice sticks to dried flavor sticks. Because you already have juice somewhere else.
Everything is juice. It's energy juice, wake up juice, mood juice, dried juice sticks.
That works.
Yeah, it's gotta have a theme.
Wow. Okay. So if you are able to do all of those things, you will give yourself what kind of a grade?
A+.
Oh. A+. All right.
Correct.
I'll give you an A+ if you finish page 2, but progress on it.
Whoa.
Let's depend on the progress, man. I mean, what did you progress in? Did you just change one little thing, or did you really make some serious progress?
I didn't know you gotta grade me.
I'll give you a B+ if you just make bare minimum progress. But if you actually make some serious progress, I'll get into the A platforms.
Sorry, teacher. Or wait, no, sensei. All right. Well, what kind of goals do you have for this next week?
Oh, well, we have to do mine. My estimation.
Yeah, we have to do yours.
On my week is that I have more than 0 days as feeling like I wrote like a writer. That would be a big improvement. And then 2, I got 800 words this last week. I want to blow through. I'll feel good if I get 2,000 plus. That's what I'm going to say. And that's
I'm underlying blow through.
blow through my 800 and something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think blow through is what I feel like I need if I was really going to make a really big jump. I need to
So-
feel like, yeah, I really did work.
If you accomplish those goals, what grade would you give yourself?
I'll give myself a C. No, just kidding. If I actually do,
Flip my goddamn lid.
I know, I just did that for you. I'll give myself, if I can do that, if I can feel like I really could define my week as blowing through my word count, I'll give myself the A plus. But if I don't, if I can't, then yeah, it's D.
There's no middle ground.
Yeah, D or an A plus, maybe that's
And
spectrum.
I'm also going to write in for your goals. Short story question mark? I'm just kidding. No, I think those are good goals. I think I'm excited to see, because that would be a big jump for you. 800 to 2,000, because you were averaging about 900 a week.
Yeah.
I would like to, if I don't know how you feel about it, but I'd like to see more days work, more specific,
Yeah.
more individual days.
Yeah, the 2 is kind of weak. I definitely want to see that number increase. Totally. To feel. All right, cool. And
I'm ready.
do you think you're going to achieve that, or do you think you're going to fail?
No, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to achieve mine.
Nice.
I have the enough, estimation of my abilities this week to say I am going to do it. Whereas you have no clue. You're just leaving it up for the wind and for the, emotion side of everything, to kind of see how it works.
Well, okay, so there's one part of
really
me
know.
that's like I'm gonna crush it this week, because there's this emotional tie to it, because this is a new thing and I'm excited about it. But I don't want that to be the driving force. I want it to be what
Why?
I'm still gonna be doing.
Because the emotion side of things is always an up and down roller coaster, and you need something that's more stable, almost like, dare I say, logic and like a goal that you want to achieve later on, like a certain expectation level that you're trying.
So the point you're trying to make is that I shouldn't let feelings dictate my work. However, I disagree. For long-term habitual use of our pencils and pens, it will take habit. It will take forming a habit. In order to do that, there has to be a positive feeling associated with it for it to stick. That is why I think it's important to have positive association with the things you do. So yes, it's very exciting to have this this new accountability that's like, oh, I'm going to get this done, but that's not going to last forever. to me, what's more important is I enjoy what I'm doing and I make it fun and easy to make into a habit.
Well, you've heard it here, folks. How about you take the two of our theories or whatever and meld it together in your own life and find a way to make it work.
Yeah, hate yourself and have fun.
I love myself so much that I have high expectations.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. All right. Thank you for listening. You guys have yourself a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. James is giving me the stank look.